everybody. Welcome to our first Q&A video. First, I want to say thank you all so much to everybody who has sent us questions. We've decided the easiest way to go about this is to kind of go through your questions and group them into subject matters so that we're not doing a Q&A video that's all over the place. We've gotten some expediting questions, some truck specific questions, some personal questions, so we'll be doing some separate videos on the subjects, splitting those up. I feel that that's the easiest. The day this video is coming out, we are actually going to be picking up our new truck. We figured why not do our first Q&A video and answer those questions that we've received about our new truck or the truck that we drive in general. So let's get started. So the first two questions we want to answer, they were really similar. First one was Charles. He asked us what factors led you to the M2, and then we had another question from RJ Left Lane asking us why you didn't choose to get into a Cascadia. So it's kind of a two-part question.
Other than the fact that we've been driving an M2 for probably about the last 2 years now, one of the most obvious reasons is a price factor. We really wanted to go the Cascadia. It's a Class 8 truck. It's meant for over the road. But the M2 technically really isn't that much different from the Cascadia. They both have the Detroit DD13 engine. They both have Ultra Shift transmissions. Well, Cascadia has their new Detroit transmission now. They both have the automated transmissions. Same axles, same tires, same brakes, same frame. The only real difference is the cab area, the hood, basically the design, and probably some wiring. It was probably about a $20,000 price difference. And for our first truck, we just thought it would be smart to go with the cheaper option at first to keep our operating costs as low as possible. That's the main reason why we went with the M2, is just the cost factor in it.
Our next question comes from Eric, and he asked, is there any consideration in owning multiple trucks now that we're getting our first truck? Yes, we have considered that. That is something we have talked about for the future. We haven't, come to an ultimate conclusion that is what we will do in the future, but it's definitely something that we will consider and have considered and talked about.
Yeah.
Being a fleet owner in the future.
Yeah. We need to worry about this truck for now, yeah. But it's something we've talked about.
It's definitely something that's in the back of our minds as a future plan. Next question comes to us from Tiborius, and I'm sorry if I mispronounce these YouTube names. He asked, did we have to get an LLC or Escort before getting our own truck?
No, you don't have to get it before getting your own truck. It is something you want to talk to your tax guy about, which option is going to be the best for you. Typically what your tax person will probably ask is, how much gross are you going to have per year? How much gross, and then how much will you be paying yourself per year? I think that plays a big factor in how you're filing your taxes. My understanding for owner-operators that the Escort is the best way to file your taxes under. It just offers the best tax advantages. But that's still something we're kind of learning right now. We're going to be calling our tax people probably next week and talking to them about, do we need to set an S-Corp up or a corporation or an LLC, but it's definitely, you want to talk with your tax person, because it all depends on what your total gross is going to be for that year. They'll be able to tell you what is going to be the best way to take advantage of the taxes for those certain filings.
And that's definitely something we can do a video on after we've researched it a little bit more.
After we talk to our tax folks.
Yeah, talk to our tax folks.
We'll share with you guys.
We'll share you that and share the process we go through and what we do.
What we did and what we do.
Absolutely. But long story short, you do not have to have that to purchase your own truck. Next question comes to us from Kathleen, and she kind of had a two-part question. So I'm going to take the first part of the question, and that is, Do you feel like we're going to be making more money owning our own truck versus driving for an owner now since we're going to have a truck payment? So yes, we do feel, we know we're going to be making more money owning our own truck, even with a truck payment, simply because right now, driving for an owner, our owner is taking 40% of our total revenue for this truck, except for anything we're paying out, like tolls, things like that. So that 40% that our owner is getting actually will cover a truck payment, insurance, and still have money left over. So yes, we will make more money owning our own truck versus driving for an owner, even with the truck payment and all of those expenses. Second part of her question is, how will your relationship change with Panther going into your own truck? So that's a very good question.
We've been wondering that for the past couple weeks, you know.
We've talked about it.
We've talked about it. We've talked about it with our owner. What he's explained to us is, you know, Panther's more focused towards their fleet owners, not the owner-operator. They cater more to their fleet owners. If we have an issue arise, we won't have as much pull as, say, our owner would to call to get something resolved. So it might take a little bit more legwork for us. We're going into uncharted waters here. You know, we don't know. We are going to do what we continue to do. Try to be the absolute best drivers we can be out here. Safety-wise, performance-wise, just try to be the absolute best that we can be. And if it doesn't work, we'll check out our other options.
Next question comes from Bob, and he has a two-part question. So the first part of his question is what are the advantages and disadvantages of the full manual transmission versus an auto manual transmission? I'm going to let Jason take that one.
So a full manual transmission is going to be cheaper. I don't know the exact price difference. I do know having an automated transmission installed would be a little bit more pricier. One of the selling points they use a lot is that it gets better fuel mileage. Now, it doesn't get better fuel mileage just because of it being an automated transmission. The reason it does get better fuel mileage is because it does the shifts at lower RPMs. Whereas in a manual transmission, typically most drivers are going to be winding out those RPMs all the way up to the highest RPM, shifting into their next gear. Whereas our automated transmission typically shifts way before it fully winds out. So by not winding it out all the way does help save fuel. But if you know how to drive a stick properly and you know when to shift your truck at the right RPMs and to keep your RPMs low, you can easily save as much fuel as an automated. One of the biggest advantages is we're not pushing in a clutch. We don't have to, when we're stuck in traffic or backed up or going through cities or downtowns or anywhere, we're not pushing in that clutch and shifting, you know. We're not having to do all this extra work. We can have two hands on the wheel, one foot ready to gas or brake, and it allows us better concentration to what's going on around us, I think. So one of the disadvantages of having an automated transmission would be cost. It is more expensive up front. More things can go wrong with it. Added labor costs, parts, maintenance. It can cost a little bit more of ownership, I would think. Another thing we like about the automated transmission is we can use it in manual mode also and still not have to use a clutch. We can shift, control the shifts when we want them to shift, or we can let the truck do it for us. So having the best of both worlds, it's really an added benefit for us and worth the extra costs we might have for that. So yeah, that's just a couple of the advantages, disadvantages. Probably pretty obvious, but those are the ones I know of.
Second part to his question was, what brand kind of water heater are we getting in the new truck? Great question, Bob. And to be honest, we do not know yet. We seen it when we were at the truck the other day, but I didn't even pay attention to what the brand was. But when we do our truck tour, we will definitely make sure to show that and show you the brand. We do know it's a small electric water heater.
It is all electric.
All electric. Holds about 3 gallons of water, I think. It's not real big, but we'll definitely show that in our truck tour.
Yeah.
Next question comes from Dad the Jedi. He kind of had a 2-part question as well. First part of his question is, do any trucks use propane for running an RV type refrigerator and heat? As far as we know, no.
No.
Not in a truck.
Biggest problem with the propane is carbon monoxide.
Yeah,
you
safety
can have,
issue.
Yeah, that's a pretty big safety issue. We have enough problems with that parking next to trucks idling. So to have a heater that ran off that also, like a buddy heater, I don't think it would be good. And not cost effective either. Yeah, it's another added cost of having to fill up your propane tanks out here on the road. Same with the refrigerator. You know, it'd be added maintenance costs to your refrigerator. The refrigerators that are in here are strictly 12 volt. They keep it simple. It just runs off the batteries when it's parked, or the truck when it's, or the inverter when it's running. So it's propane. I don't think would be a good option, and especially bouncing around down the road carrying a big tank of something that could explode. I don't know what the hazmat regulation on that would be.
I mean, and again, this is just, we don't know of any trucks, but that doesn't mean it's not out there. I know there are some cargo van drivers. I was just watching
there are
a YouTuber cargo van dweller that had a big propane tank with a heater. Yeah.
But, yeah, they use those buddy heaters.
And
they're not safe heaters. You got to leave the window cracked. That's just too scary for me.
So the second part of the question was, have we put in any thought to popping a solar panel up on the roof with an inverter and battery bank?
No.
And
that is a good idea.
Yeah, we have thought about it. We've talked about it.
I've been researching it a little bit too. Some full-time RV livers, people who live on boats, they have solar panels.
Yeah.
It's a good idea. I do like that idea. You know, it would prevent us from running our generator, because most of the time during spring and fall, the only reason we run our generator is to charge up the batteries. We're usually watching TV that drains down the batteries. Cooking, yeah. Well, microwave and stuff, you would still need to run the generator, but for those times of the year, I think it would be a good option. It's one or two solar panels would be enough power to power the TV, get the batteries charged up during the day, power some low voltage items, cell phones and stuff. So we're going to do more research on it for sure.
Yeah, something that we may add in the future.
Yep.
Next question comes from Cougar, and it is your new truck a 6x2 or a 4x2?
I believe that pertains to tandem axle trucks with power dividers and stuff like that. Our truck is only going to be a single rear axle, so we'll only have one drive axle. So I think that would be a 4x2, I guess, if you would.
I guess technically,
consider it like that. Yeah. Well, only one rear axle, though, so we only have one drive and then one axle for the steer. So.
The last question we have on this topic comes from Rashad, and his question is, what's the maximum weight that your truck can hold? In our new truck, we're not going to know exactly until we get it weighed. We need to get all our stuff in there, all of our belongings, full of fuel, full of water, to see what it weighs without any freight in it and all of our belongings. Then we'll be able to determine how much weight with the payload we can actually carry. Now, our truck, the gross vehicle weight rating is going to be 33,000 pounds, which is the exact same as the truck we're in now.
In this truck, we can haul 8,500 pounds, 8,500. Now, something has been just recently brought to light to us just this past week that I was never aware of. This is something I just learned this week.
Yeah, maybe new to some
after
of you
4
others.
years, I can't believe that I just learned this. But typically, our rear axle is rated for 21,000 pounds. That's 21,000 on the rear, 12 on the front, giving us a total of 33. Now, one thing I never knew about, or I did know about, but I only thought it pertained to tandems, was bridge law. Bridge law states that no single axle can be over 20,000 pounds. So, with that in mind, if our rear can't be over 20,000 pounds versus the 21 that I originally thought, that would drop our total payload down to 75.
Yeah.
So maybe you guys know something that I'm not knowing. We had our fellow friend and Panther driver, Scott. He's the one that made me aware of this and said he had received a $125 ticket for this. He was under 21, but he was over the 20. So that was overweight per the bridge law, and he got a ticket.
Did he get that going through a scale? Is that what happened?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think he
Crazy.
said it was Missouri or Illinois.
Yeah.
One of those. But yeah, I mean that kind of puts a damper on our payload capacity.
Yeah.
If that's and I looked it up. It does say 20,000. Any single axle cannot weigh more than 20,000. So our front, we could have a 21 up there, but it couldn't weigh more than 20. We couldn't put more than 20 on that front axle or the rear axle, since those are singled axles. So if any of you guys know anything, but yeah, please comment down in the comments section and let us know if you know anything different. But so technically, I guess our total payload that we can carry is only about 7,500 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah.
If we learn anything different, we'll definitely share it in a video.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so that wraps up this Q&A on all of the truck-related questions we've got. Thank you to everyone who sent us a question. Remember, we do still have the other questions. We will be doing future Q&As with those questions. So just because your question was not in this video does not mean we're not going to answer it in another video. So if y'all enjoy and want to see future Q&A videos, give this video a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching and subscribing, and we'll see you in our next video. Peace, love, and expediting.